Right, okay guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle, and yeah, it's coming to you on a Friday no less. I'm really spoiling you a lot, getting a Friday Waffle out in time, instead of the usual sort of Saturday bollocks that I do. So anyway, yeah, I've just about recovered from last Sunday. Awesome day, really was. But listen, I'm not going to talk about it in any great length at the moment, because I thought there's only one thing I can do, and that is invite the guy who was basically my wingman for the whole event, and it's Panther UK, Chris. So I'm going to be having inviting him along shortly, just for us to kind of talk about it, you know, and just basically have a wee chat and see how we thought it went. So yeah, it's almost the weekend. I started my new job on Wednesday. I was on holiday Monday, Tuesday, started a new job on Wednesday, and I've got to say, I'm really enjoying it. I really am. The first day was complete information overload. It was just trying to take in so much, and when I got home, I didn't have anything to eat, which, you know, is a bit silly, but when I came home, I went straight to the chip shop, got fish and chips, and I ended up falling asleep on the couch. I was absolutely exhausted. I think it was just because purely the amount of kind of information I was trying to digest. So that's me kind of 2 days into it. I worked yesterday and I worked today. This is Thursday, by the way. I'm recording this on Thursday, which is yesterday if you're watching this on Friday. Or it might be 2 weeks ago, depending whether you actually, when you're actually watching the thing. But yeah, really enjoying my job. It's early days yet, but I've got a good feeling. You know, I really don't think I've made any mistake. I think I've got a job that I'm going to enjoy, which is just absolutely fantastic for me. Gaming wise, the only thing I've been playing is the Main Meister High Score Kerfuffle game, and it's Raiden. Now, Raiden is it's a seminal classic blaster. It's not a bullet hell, but I'll tell you, it is absolutely rock hard. I cannot, for the life of me, I can get to almost, I think it's the end of level 1, where you've got these two large tanks that come out, and I don't know how many games. I've probably had about 20 games, and I simply cannot get past them. I've managed to destroy one, and then I always end up dying. But I thought I was doing well. I didn't think I was doing well. I think my best at the point in making this video, I think I got 58,000. Well, I've just seen a couple of guys. My mate Ian Mappy, he put in a score of 500 odd thousand, and I see Sick Boy has just one credited it. You know, it's insane, absolutely insane. You know, not that I mean, I know I'm not good at video games. I'm probably better than the average video gamer, but you know, I'm probably better than somebody who doesn't actually play video games. But you know, when I compare myself with guys like that, it's just absolutely insane. If you're not taking part in the High Score Kerfuffle, please do check it out. Lewis does do an absolutely fantastic job of putting it all together. I mean, he doesn't just pick a game. He also lets you kind of pick games. But the way he presents it, he's allocated scores and points per week. Then he'll kind of do a wee kind of brief summary of where you are, where, you know, Alan Stewart has moved up, or Main Meister has moved up 3 places up to 8th position, and Yolda Gamer Steve has moved up so many positions. You know, he does an absolute cracking job. So go and please go and check out the High Score Kerfuffle. It comes out on a Tuesday night. And it's a fantastic way to, you know, make you want to play games. You know, if you're one of these people that maybe get a bit kind of bored and think, oh, I don't know what to play, trust me, you're playing it for kind of kudos to try and get more points, you know, and the more points you get, then obviously you're going to get more points, because it's a kind of league table thing. So absolutely awesome. So I've been kind of playing that. That's really been it. Like I said, last night, Wednesday night, I was absolutely exhausted, so I was in my bed for about 10 o'clock. I do start early. I kind of leave the house at 7, and I'm home for about 5 o'clock, which I can't complain at all. You know what I mean? That's really good. So anyway, listen, before I bring on Chris, I'm just going to answer some questions from last week's Friday Waffle. And Robert Morrison is saying, how can it be the waffle already? I just started work a little while ago. Has the universe gone mad? And what Robert's basically getting at is I put out a video, I think it was about, I don't know, I was off on last Friday. I think it was, I don't know, maybe 4 o'clock on a Friday, which is ridiculously early. Yeah, don't get used to it. Colin Jones, really a short one this week. Question for the next waffle. I recently found out that Sparks released a new album this year, and I've been catching up and very impressed. Are there any bands, groups from your childhood you like that are still producing new music? Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, I've just got hiccups. I had 2 baked potatoes for my dinner. And talking and not breathing on top of eating too much food's not a good idea. Yeah, I do. I mean, I like going to live gigs. And I've been along to see quite a lot of like bands from the past. I've seen the Kaiser Chiefs, who are quite new. I've seen the Specials multiple times. So Big Country. But one guy I go to see, I think I've seen him 3 times, and he always plays in December. So it's kind of a Christmassy tradition. And it's Fish, or Derek Dick, if you want. That's his full name, I should say. Marillion lead singer, and he plays an awesome gig. I mean, the first time I saw him would be about 4 years ago, I think it was. I don't think he played, was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. No, he didn't play last year actually. But I've been to 3 gigs, and we always make a point to get to the very, very front so you get a good view. And the first time he played, it was a Misplaced Childhood, which is probably about Marillion's most famous album. I mean, it's the kind of album that a lot of kind of non-Marillion people got into. Things like Kaylee, Heart of Loathing, Lavender. They were kind of some of probably the bigger hits. And Fish does bring out new albums, which I've got, which is really good. But I must admit, I watched some of Sparks' videos, Colin, and it's interesting when you see, people from 40 years ago, and you're thinking, what are they going to look like now? And it's interesting when you see them, you realise they're still just as good. Yeah, they're all older looking like us all, but yeah, really, really, really good. Can't think of any other groups that I've kind of seen that's going to make new music. I think Big Country possibly do. Can't remember. But yeah, absolutely superb. And I think you've got a second one. On the game front, you could play mine. Oh yeah, sorry, you know what? Apologies, Kevin. Kevin, apologies, Colin. I was asking for some games to play during the live stream last week, or last Sunday. Now, if you caught any of it, you may have noticed that I didn't actually play that many games. The reason being is there was far too many absolutely cracking guests, and I just didn't think it was really fair to have a guest on and I'm playing games, because it would be leaving Panther kind of to man the fort on his own, because as you know, me playing games and trying to talk doesn't work at all. So I thought, when I've got a guest on, it's really better that we just kind of talk. So like I say as well, I'm not going to apologise as such, but I did ask for quite a few games, and I think, I don't know how many games I played. Lucky if I played 10 in about 12 hours. Absolutely gutted that we lost the last 30 minutes of the stream, but we'll talk about that in the wee kind of feature when I've got Chris in on it. So yeah, on the game front, you could have played mine. Make sure you get the latest version. I think I improved since the last time, improved movement since the last time you played, so it's not so difficult to take it at a junction. I uploaded it to Itch and linked it to Discord. What to do, Colin? Go and pop a link to your game in the Show Us Your Stuff in my Discord channel, so we can all kind of get to see it. Yolda Gamer Steve, he's saying here, the Sparks album is brilliant, one of their best in my opinion. Had Lawnmower totally stuck in my head for many days now. One Switch, I'll try to catch some of it and watch it next week. Fine causes, I'll chuck something in. Game suggestions, apologies One Switch, I didn't I don't think I played any of them. No, I didn't play Forbidden Forest. I did actually have all these written down. But like I said, I actually kind of got around to playing very, very few games. Oh, one thing that I was asked to do, and I successfully managed to do it, and it's actually really easy. I managed to put timelines on the video as to when people were going to be kind of cropping up, which is good because it means that, you know, when it's a 12-hour stream and you want to jump to one person. So it's actually really easy. So what I'm going to try and do for future videos, I'm going to put timelines in. Unless, of course, it's a video where it's like a surprise. I don't want to ruin the surprise by putting links to the games, individual games. But for stuff like maybe the Friday Waffle or any other kind of stuff where I want, you know, I think there should be kind of timelines, I will do that. Andy says, 7:30, to answer the question accurately, throughout the 80s, consoles hardly featured in the UK at all, but from around 1992 onwards, there was a three-way split between the Amiga, the SNES and the Mega Drive. PCs were still niche due to their price. Yeah, I was asked a question, I think it was by Down the Rabbit Hole, about whether there was a big kind of like, was there a console war? Was there a lot of arguments about what console was the best? And I think I answered that I wasn't really aware of it because I said I wasn't at school, so I didn't get into the whole kind of playground thing. I was a fully grown adult at that point, so I never really saw it. But yeah, Andy's bang on the money. It was pretty much split between Amiga, SNES and Mega Drive. I had Amiga. As much as I wanted a Mega Drive, I couldn't really. If I was going to get a Mega Drive, I'd have to have sold my Amiga and bought the Mega Drive, and I didn't want to do that. I mean, I remember one of my mates bought a Mega Drive, and another mate bought an Amiga, and then they decided to swap, and then within a few months, the guy that ended up with the Mega Drive ended up buying another Amiga again, you know, because games, well, you could get games a lot cheaper, and plus there was the whole piracy thing as well, so. And Ox, yep, he very kindly came up with some games. In fact, I think, am I right in thinking, Neil, I think you were the only person that actually played the games. Disposable Hero played that. Alien Breed Tower Assault, Battle Squadron played that as well. Paradroid, never played that. I did play a bit of Ghosts and Goblins, did I? Yeah, I did play a bit of Ghosts and Goblins. Never managed Zombie or Bugaboo the Flea. Didn't manage any Fort Apocalypse either. Like I says, I was too busy having fun talking to guests. And hopefully you guys would probably appreciate that more than me kind of playing games. Down the rabbit hole, for the Friday Waffle, Alan, I must confess I've got so many games and amazing things to play. I'm extremely lukewarm on the next generation of consoles. Are you excited for them at all? I can't say I'm overly excited, Kev, but I know I'm going to end up buying one. Absolutely, I'll end up buying one anyway. I'm not super excited. I mean, you know, if I was to be rational, I wouldn't buy one because I mean I've got games that I bought for the PS4 that I've never played. I've played 20 minutes of Last of Us 2. That's down to the simple fact that my daughter wants to play it along with me. But anytime I suggest her to play it, she's like, "Oh, I'm too busy doing this," or "I'm too busy doing that." But you know, I've got a lot of games that I've simply never played, and I don't really play current consoles. So for me to buy a PlayStation 5 is probably a wee bit silly, but am I going to buy it? Of course I'm going to buy it, because that's what I do. That's kind of my hobby, you know. But as far as excitement, I wouldn't say I'm super excited about it. It'll be interesting to see what it's like. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I've seen a couple of trailers for some games, and whilst I don't think the graphics are much better, you know, they've improved the lighting a lot more, and it's all this kind of the shadows, and like I say, the lighting and reflections. And that's kind of what happened when it moved from like the PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4. The graphics themselves didn't really get much better. I mean, you look at some of the games, you look at Last of Us on the PlayStation 3, it looks absolutely incredible. You know, and compare it to like the PlayStation 4 version, there's not that much of a difference. It's all about the subtle kind of backgrounds and, you know, kind of special effects, like I say, lighting effects and shadows and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to the PlayStation 5 coming out. When it comes out, I'll probably buy one, Kev. So you can take for that what you will. Excuse me. Secondly, what joystick or gamepad is your favourite for using with emulators? Excuse me. I've got two joysticks I use. First one is this, which I've let you see before. It's the Wicco Boss. It's got a nice big button in the top. That is the stick that I used to use on my C64. Unfortunately, it's not the actual one. Now, I connect it using one of these things. Hopefully you can see that. It's a USB and it goes in like so. That just plugs in there like so. And then that plugs into the PC and it basically lets me use a digital joystick. So that is really good. So I use that one sometimes. The only problem is it doesn't work with every emulator. But usually my kind of go-to is just a bog standard Xbox 360. This is a wireless one. I also have a wired one which I use. But this just works with everything. It's got all the buttons. So for every emulator, the N64, PlayStation 2, PlayStation, Dreamcast. I'm not a massive fan of the analog stick for playing Commodore 64 games, but when I'm recording videos I tend just to use it. It's easier to use and it just works. So that's kind of my sticks, Kev. Finally, any interest in the Intellivision Amico? It's going to be a bit pricey for glorified mobile games on a console intended for families to play together. I've never heard it, Kev, but you know what? That little description you've given me, you've just basically confirmed to me that I have got no interest in it. Family friendly mobile games, no thank you. If it's going to emulate Intellivision, well, I can do that already. I can play Intellivision games on my PC. I can play them on various handhelds. You know, there's so many of these machines coming out now. I just wish they would sort of say, look, let's try and do something a bit different. Don't really get it. But anyway, Kev, listen, thank you very, very much for your questions. Next is Delboy3K1. Good waffle, although I think you misunderstood my statement in the last stream, as I'm not into money from things like Discord, and to be honest, you answered my statement in a reply already. Anyway, interesting about Xbox, but to be honest, the discontinue is the digital only models and not the disk drive models. Ah, right, okay, got you. This is a bit standard for companies, as warehouses will have stock of devices lasting months or years for versions that don't sell, so production lines just stop while the main units with drives continue. Right, I didn't realise that, Delboy. It doesn't mean that games won't be developed for it, but it's the start of the end, I suppose. I am actually betting Sony have ceased certain lines of their machines. They just haven't publicised that fact. And if they haven't, it won't be long. Think about it slightly. They could use USB ports reserved for old consoles and have them moved to a new production line. Makes sense to me. So glad about the job. I'm pumped up for the stream. So looking forward to listening and watching you and your chums who have also started to get to know. Yeah, great fun, Dale. And like I said, we are going to talk. I'm going to be talking to Chris very, very shortly about just how we felt the kind of stream went. Retro Russ, good to hear about you starting a new job, mate. Hope all goes well. Thank you very, very much, Russ. Panther UK, talk of the devil. Hopefully this time next week, we can talk about how well it went, and then you can answer this question. Do you think the craze for mini consoles has peaked now with the PC Engine Mini, or do you think it will still carry on? Being an admin in the C64 Mini full-size Facebook group, I often see the MG of RGL being asked about an Amiga Mini. Not sure it would work that well, but I'll probably buy one. Yeah, sorry about that, jump cup. Do you think the craze for mini consoles has peaked? Well, I suppose it depends on what consoles are kind of left to do. I mean, we've got the NES, we've got the SNES, we've got the Mega Drive, we've got the PC Engine, so all the kind of the cartridge-based systems have already been done. There's not been a SNES Master System. There's every possibility that they will bring out one, just because you can absolutely guarantee that people will buy it. I mean, there's a new VIC-20 computer, which, even though the 64, the 64 emulates the VIC-20, you know, they know that there's going to be the collectors who want to have the completest list, and so they're not completest list, they want to have the complete collection, so they will buy it. So yeah, it's possible we might see a Master System one. Is it possible we might start seeing really kind of, you know, early ones? I can't remember what the name of the early... there was a machine that came out before the Master System. Are we going to see one of these? Are we going to see a mini Game Gear? I mean, Sega are obviously releasing these they are releasing little mini Game Gears, which I heard the specs. I was watching the Retro Hour podcast, or listening to it, I should say, and apparently the screen is going to be even smaller than the Game Boy Micro, which absolutely rules me out. I just don't see the point in making something that small. You know, 99% of people my age are not going to be able to physically see this screen. It's going to be far too small. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other. I mean, the N64, there's going to be an N64 mini at some point. Are we going to see a mini Saturn, mini Dreamcast, mini PlayStation 2? I wouldn't rule it out, Chris. Absolutely wouldn't rule it out. But the problem is, well, I suppose it's a bit like the PlayStation Mini, is the capacity. Obviously, games are much bigger, so they're going to take up a lot more space. But no, I don't think we've seen the last of them. I mean, like I mentioned before, there was a sort of an Amiga Mini called the Amiga. I don't even know if it still sells. I bought it and I kept it for a couple of weeks. I couldn't physically get it to display properly on my TV, and I sold it to Chris Wilkins, and he hung on to it for a couple of weeks and got rid of it as well. It's probably one of these things that's going to become ridiculously collectible in years to come. But no, to answer your question, Chris, I don't think we're going to see the last of them. I think there's going to be more, because they do sell. People like to buy them, even if they're shit or not. So there we go. So anyway, Chris, thank you very much for your question. Milthy Swinbuckle, hello again, Mainmeister. First up, congratulations on the Mainmeister 12-hour charity stream. It was wonderful stuff, and I hope your old backside has recovered after all that time sat in your chair. 2 questions for the next waffle. First one, seeing as you've been doing the Friday Waffle for several years now, try 6 years, I think, Milthy. I've been doing them easily since, I think it's early 2014, so I've been doing these for 6 years. Can you get that? I mean, 6 years. 6 years times 52, there's about 300 waffles, which is just insane. There's about 300 hours of me talking pish. Seeing as you've been doing the Friday Waffle for several years now, do you ever get sick of answering the same questions that you get asked over and over and over again, year in, year out, over the years you've been doing the Friday Waffle? No, I mean, not at all. Not at all. As I've mentioned before, it is quite difficult trying to come up with fresh kind of material to talk about, and that's why I do rely so much on questions. I mean, I will from time to time, you know, get asked the same question, like, what is your favourite console, or what console would you like to own, or what's the console that would be the one you want to keep if you could only have one. So I mean, you do get asked kind of repeat questions, but they're always good fun they're always really good fun to answer anyway. So if a question is good once, it's good a second time, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's possibly a fresh audience to listen to my answers, and, you know, like I says, it's one of these things. You know, there are only a finite number of questions about this kind of hobby, so I don't have a problem at all. Unless, of course, it was, you know, I got asked the same question in a couple of weeks, I'd probably just, you know, I wouldn't go into any kind of detail at all. Second one, I was wondering, as you've been answering loads of questions over the years in the Friday Waffle, lots must get repeated. My question to you this week is, do you get tired of that? Very good. Yeah. Okay, very good. Even if the question is worded differently, but essentially the same question. I presume that was a joke, yeah. Good stuff. Ox is saying, get the wrist straps ready and some sellotape to keep your eyes open. And he's of course referring to the live, the 12-hour live stream. Delboy 3K1, what a great chat I had on Sunday and what a great event. Congratulations. Sorry I talked so much, but I got into the groove. I have a question. If you could offer advice about computers and games to your past self, knowing what you know now, what would your advice be? This could be a warning to yourself or anything really. Sorry, not a great question, but I'm starting to ask them. We'd love another chat, whatever, Alan. Absolutely, not a problem at all, Del. If I could offer advice to my old self, it would be, don't throw out your Zap 64 magazines. Hang on to all these electronic games. That collection of 50 LCD games that you sold about 3 years ago for 200 quid, don't sell them. Hang on to them because they're going to quadruple in price. Basically, all the stuff that I've had, Action Man, $6 Million Man, Muhammad Ali, Evel Knievel, all these toys, well, you're talking about computer games, but all these toys, I don't know what happened to them. They must have been flung out. So yeah, I would be saying to myself, just hang on to them because they're going to become very, very collectible in 20, 30 years time. You oldie gamer Steve, good waffling. I hope the new job is turning out well, and my god, wasn't the 12-hour live stream bloody brilliant, and you raised £955. You should be really proud. Well, we should all be really proud, Steve, because it was a massive collective thing that we did, fantastic. Now a question, how much do you think the legendary SID chip contributed to the success of the C64? If it only had a beeper like the first Spectrums, would it still have been the best selling computer of all time? I think the reason it was kind of the best selling computer of all time probably was because it sold so much in the USA. I think the Spectrum sold more than the C64. And now I might be talking rubbish, but I believe that the C64 sold, it sold more in the early days than it did. I don't know if people were still buying the C64 back in like 1992, 1993, like they were in the UK. And from what I can kind of gather, most of the really good kind of SID tunes, it was from British composers. It's a strange one. Is that because American programmers stopped programming for it kind of quite early on? I'm not too sure actually. But so I think if that was the case, I think the C64 sold by the bucket load just because America was a huge market. But I do think that the SID chip, it was probably 1985 before Rob Hubbard made the infamous Thing in a Spring. That's where somebody flicked the switch. We went from having this computer that just had this plinky plonky sound to this, stunning synthesizer. And that's kind of, as far as I'm aware, that's kind of where the whole SID chip, people suddenly realise what an amazing instrument the SID chip is. So I do imagine that, the SID chip would have helped sell it. I certainly know that Panther UK, he had a Spectrum, and then he heard, was it Crazy Comets, I think it was, on the C64, and that was it. He was sold. He went out and bought a C64. I think he got one second hand right enough, but I do think it did sell it. But like I said, I think, and I might be talking nonsense, I do think that the bulk of C64 sold were probably in America. Well, I might be talking absolute nonsense. I don't really know. But anyway, good question, Steve. Thank you very much. Matt Dysart, how about Shadow Dancer? Again, Matt, sorry, I did write it down, but I just didn't get a chance to actually play it. But yeah, definitely for a next stream. And finally in the questions, Ian Hunter, best of luck with the marathon live stream, mate. Thank you very, very much, Ian. I didn't actually see you were you in the stream at any point, Ian? I don't think I actually saw you. Though saying that, I missed a lot of questions, a lot of the feedback. When I was talking to kind of guests, you've got to really be kind of paying attention. So I did miss a lot, but what I'm planning to do is to kind of start going back and watching the 12-hour stream in wee kind of chunks. So anyway, listen, thank you very, very much to everybody that's asked a question. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut over to myself and Panther UK, Chris, just talking about how we both felt the live stream went. So, over to you guys. So then, Chris, how's the arse?
The arse is good, mate. The arse is good.
Glad to hear it. I'll tell you, mate. I've done some mental runs. I've ran for 32 hours before without stopping. I've ran for 15 hours before without stopping. I've never been as tired in all my life as I was sitting on my backside for 12 hours talking to you and other people.
It was a day, wasn't it? It was a day.
It was. It was an absolute awesome day. And do you think it? Did it feel like 12 hours to you? Or?
No, it shot past, didn't it?
It kind of did. It kind of didn't. I mean, I was starting to flag a wee bit, maybe about kind of tea time, and you're like, "Oh, I've only got another 5 hours to go." But I think, I think what made it so tiring, but what made it pass quick was we didn't really have much of a kind of chance. I mean, I think the biggest break we took were about 10 minutes. I think that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, you apart from 3 games of China minor at the end, you hardly played any games after the first hour.
I was talking about that earlier on in today's waffle. I think there was. I think I played. What did I play? I played Alien Breed. I played Battle Squadron. I played something else. Disposable Hero. I played Whizball. I played China Minor. I played Ghouls when Lacosa was on. I played Ghouls.
You had a go at V.
I had to go at V, yeah. I think that's about it. I mean, really, there was...
You sort of played that Galaxian game with Paul Morris.
Aye, that's right. I was surprised I won that. Can't hide skill. Yeah.
Don't you mean?
But I mean, it was. I mean, like I said, yeah, we didn't, and I think. I mean, to be fair to you and I think we did pretty well, remaining enthusiastic, and it wasn't because fucking hell, here comes such and such. It was the fact that you were trying to be enthusiastic, for everybody that you spoke to, and keep the conversation going. But I mean, every single guest was just fantastic. I'm not going to say I had any favourites, because every single, other than the slight technical issues with Ox, not being able to hear him for a wee bit, it was fantastic. It really, really was.
Well, I mean, I know it's not fair to name names, but if I had to name a standout, because of how much he was crapping his pants, you got to say Del Boy was brilliant.
I think he's a lying bastard. I mean, he said that he was.
Yeah.
He said he was.
Right.
What's that?
So I think you're right. Never been live before.
No, I mean, I was reading the comments in Discord about. He said that he was so nervous, and even like Mark Stoneham as well. He said he was really nervous, but Del just. He was like he didn't take over. He just. He's I've got a cracking anecdote for you. And he was an absolute natural.
I thoroughly enjoyed the day. I didn't lose my enthusiasm at all. I mean, it was a shame Gary Liddon was late and I had to cut the Sid music short. But perhaps after Parallax it was for the best.
Yeah, if I was going to name a favourite bit, I mean that's that was just priceless. That was. How many times have we done this and it's worked flawlessly?
Oh no! I mean, at the time, even though it was amusing, I was trying to get it back on track again, so I wouldn't really concentrate. I watched it back with my missus. I was in tears, mate. I think it's the bit where Lucosa loses it and starts wheezing. he turns into Muttley. And I was crying, mate. It's so funny. Oh, if Martin Galway watches that, he's going to be after me with a big stick.
I think had there been any other tune, it might have not been as funny. But the fact it goes ding, 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 ding. I mean, Chris lost it, and I lost it as well. Just that was
so funny. But the thing is, that's the same setup when we do the Sid shows, and we don't normally have an issue at all. And I played National Clusters earlier, and it was fine.
And that was using the Deep Sid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the exact same setup I'd used if we was doing the Sid show.
Yeah, just insane. Then of course, I'm wondering. Well, as anybody that's kind of watched it, you probably know that rather annoyingly, we've lost the last 25. I think it cuts off at 11:55, and it ran. I think the stream ran for 12 hours and 21 minutes and something seconds. So we kind of lost the last half an hour, which was annoying. I could have quite happily lived with losing the China minor part, even though I did get to the third level after 12 hours. I thought that was pretty good. But it was annoying that Dave Perry got cut off, obviously, kind of mid. I mean, I think he was on for about another minute. It was something like that, but the fact that it just cut off, I'm wondering. No, it couldn't have been. I was going to say, obviously, again, you couldn't have made it up. We'd been streaming flawlessly for 11. Well, it was just over 12 hours, and then I go to launch China Minor, and my browser goes not responding. I don't believe it.
Oh, you got to laugh, ain't you?
And then what actually happened? See when it was not responding, was that kind of frozen or something? Was that what happened?
Well, you were frozen, but I could hear you, and I know you could hear me because I said to you, come out and come back in again. You were about ending the stream, but I've known. What was we doing? It was me, you, and Chris Lucosa. We were doing something, and you had to go off for something. You had a technical issue, and you had to go off. Me and him just carried on talking for a minute, and you come back in. You was like, "What are you doing in my room?" It's like, "Well, you just left it here." So I knew you'd be able to come back in as long as there was someone else in there.
Aye.
It's like at the end, instead of ending the stream, you just fucked off, and I sat there like this. In the end, I went, "Well, he's left me to close it. See you later." I shut my window, and because I had a live feed up in front of me, so I could keep an eye on the comments, there was just this black screen playing with the main Meister 12-hour live stress. When I've sent you a message, you need to end the stream. Yeah. You went that last game of China Minor, mate. You went to pieces. I think the fatigue set in then. The last game, you played it like I did.
I think the best it was, I think I kept dying on, was it level 3 or something?
Yeah.
It was the same bit. I've absolutely nailed. I mean, the first 2 levels I can nail. But it's that, it was that jump, the kind of first kind of bad jump. But absolutely awesome. I mean, I don't think there's many videos on YouTube that have kind of packed so much into it from a kind of retro. It's like a pick and mix of kind of retro history. You know what I mean? But I'd really.
I've gained a few Facebook friends. Gary Bracey. Paul, Jim, the other Paul Drury as well.
Yeah.
There's been a few additions on the friend front because I've spoke to these people, so I thought I'd add them. It was great. How funny is Paul Drury? That bloke cracks me up. He cracks me up when I listen to their podcast. I've listened to all of them now. He asks such off-the-wall questions. They're brilliant. I really enjoy that. So that's well done for bringing that to my attention, mate. I really enjoy that.
Have you listened to some of the Ted Dabney? Oh, you have. I know you have. And Paul's not afraid to. He's not afraid to just ask the questions that nobody else would ask.
Well, no, but it's like I've never met the bloke before, and he's like, "Chris, what's that behind you?" Like I'm an old mate from down the pub.
I thought that ultimate put down had to go to Mr. Perry. When I goes, sorry if I look like shit, and he goes, it's all right, mate. I saw you at the stand, you looked like shit then.
Yeah, I was a bit worried I'd upset Sean Southern and Andrew because You said, oh, right, Chris has got a burning question for you. And I must have been feeling tired. Because without thinking, why the fuck didn't you do outrun like that? I'm glad they saw the funny side of it. At least I hope they did. If you didn't, chaps, and you're watching, I'm really sorry. It was a long day.
No, I mean, I was really quite honoured to have some of these guys. I mean, you heard Gary Bracey says that he doesn't do these things anywhere. No, the last time he did one was when he spoke to me 2 years ago. So I feel quite privileged that guys like Gary Bracey would come onto my channel and talk to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was. All the guests were interesting, weren't they?
Yeah.
It was interesting talking to Jim Bagley about the stuff that he's done, and then of course since we've done that, you've put out a Arcade Perfect My Arse of Midnight Resistance, so we got to see what Jim was talking about. I mean, I had seen the game, but it was great. I mean, as much as I was a bit miffed initially that I was cutting the music out, but to actually sit and talk to Gary Liddon, what an interesting man. I asked him a simple question, and he filled up like 10 minutes with a really intricate but really interesting answer. Mm-hmm. You couldn't have asked for more, really.
Mm-hmm. No, everybody absolutely done a cracking job, and I mean, just to take part, it was a bit of an honour to take part in that kind of video, and that the cherry on the cake was 955 quid or 975 because I'm going to stick my money in. 975 quid is, I mean, and at no point would I even considered. I thought to myself when Mappy24 first said, "Oh, why didn't you do a live stream playing China Miner for 12 hours?" And I said, "Yeah, well, you lot give me 200 quid for charity and we'll do it." Excuse me. I did think to myself, we'll get 200 quid. I think we will. Because you're thinking, well, there's maybe about a core of maybe 15 people. 15. I mean, there's maybe. I think the kind of viewer numbers on whatever day it was last Sunday. I don't think they dipped below about 30, 35, and I'm sure they went up to about 52, something like that at one point.
I think most of the time when I looked up, it was a steady 38 at least all day. So, I mean, we had like 20 odd people. Well, we had 18 people watching us by 9:15. 15 minutes after we started, and
aye.
I mean, it's a good job I don't feel nerves about going on the camera, innit? I mean, there's me and my little
because I kept fucking off the toilet.
Yeah, my little 133 subscribers, and here I am doing a 12-hour live stream on a channel that's got a potential viewership of 3,000. So, yeah, no, I wasn't worried about going on camera at all. I mean, yeah, it was good. I was glad to be there for you, mate, because I think you might have found that a bit more hard going if you'd have sat there on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. It would, because it does take a bit of pressure off, because sometimes when you're talking to people, you're doing it and I don't think this particularly medium, whether it's StreamYard itself, whatever, is not the greatest for interviewing. But it's all right. So it's all right when they're like two people talking the way we are. But like I noticed when we had the boys from Magnetic Fields on, there was times where Sean and Andrew were both talking over each other, and it kind of cuts each other out, and so you end up, you don't hear anything, and so because of that, it can be it doesn't really make for kind of flowing conversation. I don't know whether if we were doing something like this again, we would look at another medium. I don't know. Is things like Zoom, is that any kind of better for? Does that cut you out or that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're wearing headphones on this, and I think it's the same with Zoom as well. If you're wearing headphones, when we do the Sid show, we put the headphones on and we turn off the noise cancelling on the mics.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can talk over each other, but you don't cut out. You just talk over each other. But if you do that without the headsets on, then you start getting the echoes, like I did when Gary Liddon was on, because I'd set it up for playing the music. I hadn't got round to turning it off before you put me back up on the screen, you bugger. so of course then it started echoing like mad until I went and turned that back on again.
Because I was because I came through, and I think you'd obviously. I think I text you says Gary Liddon's just arrived. He's gonna join the stream, and is that all right? And you went right, okay, that's fine. And then I came through, and I could see Gary was kind of sitting in the stream, and I was waiting for Commando to finish, and I think I was counting down, and then it got to 0, but it kept kind of going. And I thought, is it repeating itself? And I thought I can't sort of leave the poor guy, just sitting indefinitely in the ether. So I thought I'll bring you in first. That was when you're moving your C64 about.
Yeah, fine, mate.
But I think we all done really well, basically holding a 12-hour stream together. I mean, Paul messaged me afterwards. And he just said, look, because I messaged all the guys, I says, look, thanks very much for your time, and your support and helping to kind of raise the cash. And he just said it was a pleasure. He says, thanks very much for having us on. And he says, I think you've done brilliantly, kind of, keeping at it for such a long time, And like I says, I couldn't have done it, without yourself, Chris. It was great having you as my kind of my wingman, and at times that you were the main man when I was going to the toilet, and
you weren't done long enough. Blimey, I mean,
my toilet's only in there right enough, and I'm only a wee guy. I've only got a wee bladder. I don't drink too much.
It was a pleasure, mate. I wouldn't have missed it. And looking back, I'm glad I wouldn't have missed it either, because I got to ask some questions of people I'd never end up talking to. So
aye. Would you do it again at some point, you think?
Yeah, maybe once a year, eh?
Aye. Yeah, maybe again, but not for a long time.
Yeah, so what have you been doing since Sunday, Al?
I know, apart from sleeping and working in my new job.
I've actually been doing something rather special. I can share a screen if you want.
Are you all right for this? This is obviously in the waffle. Is that you all right for this? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a problem, because I got a message the other day from
nice,
from Ken's at Cytronic.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I'd be interested, because he'd been listening to the albums. If I'd be interested in recording some of Andrew Fisher's music from Barnsley Badger and some other bits and pieces. And about 10 minutes before I joined this stream, Ken sent me the version 1 of the artwork. I'm like, that's brilliant. And it's got like my Sid Effects logo on it. I think it's to do with a Kickstarter. I'm not exactly sure. I just recorded it and went, yeah, I'm quite happy to do that. And he's going to send me a complimentary copy of it, because I've done the recordings. So that's what I've been up to over the last couple of days. I thought I'd let you know.
So is this a C64 game that Andrew's done?
Barnsley Badger's a C64 game.
Yeah.
This is a soundtrack CD that I've recorded a la Sid Effects.
And has Andrew done the original Sids as well?
Oh, Andrew Fisher?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know Andrew, do you?
I know of him. I don't think he I dare say he's probably heard of me, and I've heard of him, but I don't know him to talk to. I've never actually met the guy. But yeah, I do know he has done quite a few Sids in the past.
Yeah, well, as far as I can tell, most of the ones on here aren't in the high voltage Sid collection yet.
Oh yeah, very good.
So that's I don't know how you get hold of that at the moment, apart from going to Cytronic software. But I was asked yesterday morning if I could do that, and I was at a loose end yesterday afternoon and evening. So I recorded, I think it's about 19 tracks, only a couple of minutes each. And I literally, about 10 minutes before I said to you, you may fire when ready to start the stream, Ken sent me that. So I thought I'd show you what I've been up to.
Superb, man. So have you finished it then, yeah?
Yeah, that's all done. That's, I don't know when it's coming out or what's going on with that. You'd have to look on Cytronic's website. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. That's my bit of news that came through a little while ago. So I'm well happy with that.
So when's your next what's your next main album then that's going to be coming out? Have you got any in the pipeline?
Yeah, I've got the equivalent of 4 CDs that I was doing with Show and Tell, and I recorded all of it, and I've sent him it all for editing. But you know, Europe's been hit pretty hard with the current situation, so I don't know if he's been able to get to his studio or what. But you know, there's no rush. I mean, it's recorded. You know, it would have been nice to get it out for like when everyone's in lockdown and got time to listen to it, but you know, music's art and you can't hurry art. And if, you know, he wants to take his time and do a proper job of it, then more power to him. I'm in no rush. You know, I every few weeks I might send him a message and ask him how he's getting on. But I always stress, you know, there's no rush. Don't rush it and fuck it up on my part. You know, it'll be ready when it's ready, sort of thing. So that's the one. That's Sid Effect 6, and it's called Telethon. And I had to call it Telethon because Chris Abbott come up with an album title. And he sent me a message when I was talking about doing it. He said, if you don't call this album Telethon, I'm writing you out of my will. I was like, all right, Chris, I'll call it that. So that's what it ended up with. And Sharon thought it was hilarious anyway when I told him the story. So, yeah, that's number 6. That'll come out when it comes out digitally. All free as normal for download.
Good. Fantastic. Just getting back to the C60, or sticking with the C64, I was quite surprised when Gary Penn said that he thought what the hell was it called? Sanction was a bit shit, and I thought it was a bit shit.
You mean Gary Liddon, didn't you?
Aye, I said Gary Penn, didn't I? Bloody sorry, Gary. Sorry, guys. I'm still half asleep. Sorry. Yeah. When Gaz said he wasn't a fan of Sanction.
No, he didn't like the little screen at the top, did he? Although he did like the music, so.
Aye. It's interesting. Are you a fan of not the I mean the music? The start of Sanction, the loading music is awesome, and then it kind of fades away. And I'm not a fan of the whatever it is. I'll call it the Apprentice music. I know it's not that. So if Mr. L was here, he would tell us what it's called. But are you a fan of the game?
Montagues and Capulets, isn't it?
I don't know. Are you a fan of the game itself?
I bought that game when it came out, and it took us 3 times loading it because we couldn't believe the music. And after that loading music, the game is a bit of a letdown. I don't hate the game. It is quite a difficult shoot 'em up, unless you're watching my mate Jeff play it when we was teenagers, in which case he completed it within a week, I think. But yeah, it's not the best game, is it? I think Delta's the better game, but then that's a memory game rather than a reactions game. It's don't know, Falibus games, there was a lot of polish. I mean, not all the games are rubbish. I mean, Hawkeye on the 64 is a really good game. Quidex was a good game, but it was a bit of a puzzler, wasn't it? But yeah, no, Sanction, it's there's a lot more polish than actual game there, I think.
I don't know why they bothered with the was it the overhead view? I think it was.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was like a weird overhead sort of thing.
I don't know why they did that, and it just left a tiny wee playing area. And what doesn't help is the actual kind of enemies are quite big as well, so there's not a lot of kind of room. And then it's got that kind of annoying game mechanic where you've got to hold the joystick to the right to kind of speed up as well, haven't you?
Yeah, and in that one, you've got to keep pushing it up as well because the ship sort of does.
That's right. That kind of falls down. The sound in that game is amazing. I mean, when you it's kind of got this really deep kind of bassy hum throughout it, then it kind of increases in pitch when you kind of speed up a wee bit.
It's a lovely looking game. I mean, I really, Stavros Vassoulis definitely stretched the not so brown palette as much as he could.
Yeah.
There's a lot of colour. There is a brown level, so.
But then you take out the music. When people talk about Sanction, they talk about the music.
No, I don't think so. I mean, that was like people knew Monty on the Run, they knew Commando and Crazy Comets and that. But I know it does divide certain quarters, but the Sanction loading music is Commodore 64 iconic piece because we're talking 1986, and I bought the game and we waited 3 or 4 minutes for it to tape load. And it got to the end of the music, and the music cut out. And me and my mate looked at each other and was like, "Fuck! Do you hear that?" So we basically reset the 64, we ran the tape and done it again. It was on the 3rd time through, we let the game play, and after that, the game was a bit of an anticlimax compared to the music.
Mm-hmm. Aye. Just an interesting one. Somebody asked my question in the waffle, and I was talking about it earlier on, and I can't. Yeah, the question was, do I think the SID chip helped make the C64 one of the best-selling computers in the world? And my answer was, well, you can watch this waffle later on if you want to find out. But I basically said I didn't think it was a massive part of it. I says because, and I might be talking absolute shit. The C64, I mean, obviously it was a massive, massive seller in the States, and I mean, I think that it lived a lot longer in the UK. So by time we kind of, I mean, I think the big SID track that opened people's eyes was not Money on the Run, was Thing in a Spring. That was the one that Zap went on about, like, bloody hell. And that came out, I don't know, 1985. And I think probably in the States, the C64 was pretty much, it was either dead, but it certainly didn't live as long as it did in the UK. So I would imagine that it sold by the bucket load in the States because it was just a good computer. Whereas, you know, obviously it probably still sold a lot in the UK, but the SID, people didn't really realise just what a good what am I trying to say? People didn't realise how good the SID chip could actually be until kind of later on in the C64's life. Does that kind of make sense, you think?
Yeah, I mean, Rob pioneered quite a lot of tricks and that, and then you had the likes of Jaron come along, Tom DeTurt, Chris Hulsbeck, you know, a lot of these ones that were sort of like mid to late 80s. And then you hear some of the stuff, you know, that people like Jason Page, Saul Cross, you know, the new stuff that Rob Hubbard did the other year. You know, you hear all that, and people are pushing it even further now. I mean, could you imagine if, like, that version of Hybris that I played on the SID show, can you imagine if that come out in 1987 on the Commodore 64 with a sound like that? It absolutely blowing people away. So people are still sort of learning, and even after all this time, that little chip's still evolving. So no, I don't think it made the 64 as big as it was. I mean, it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
I think the SID chips got better as the 90s went on, and as the 64 become like a scene machine for demos, and now they seem to have ramped up making games on it again at the moment. Yeah, and people are still finding little tricks on it now to do stuff.
Here's the thing. I mean, from what I can gather, the software from America kind of dried up fairly early on into the C64's life, or was a lot of the US Gold, was all the US Gold games that actually came out in the US first?
Yeah, most of them are.
What's that?
I think, yeah, most of them. Well, I'm pretty sure all the US Gold stuff.
I mean, US Gold did Gauntlet, but that came out right away. You know, it didn't come out in America, then it came out in the C64. The early stuff, all your early Threlbs and Seamus and Blue Max and Fort Apocalypse, these were all you know, early American games. I mean, I can't think of any American produced game that had an absolute stonking SID track. I mean, Forbidden Forest is a game that had really standout music, which was obviously before Monty in the Run, but not Monty in the Run, well, before Monty in the Run and Thing in a Spring. But is there any real prolific SID authors, musicians, whatever you want to call it, that were American?
I'm going to get shot down for not knowing. No, thanks for putting me on the spot. Well, Paul Norman done the Forbidden Forests and Aztec Challenge. I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Paul Clancy that done the Alien music. I'm fairly sure that was an American game. With regards to the software drying up, well, I mean, Epics were still making games in
that's true.
Like 88, and Epics were an American company. I think the trouble is a lot of the games that crossed over the pond were either given different titles when we got them over here, so we didn't know any different, and vice versa. It's like Nebulous, you know, the Houston game, Nebulous, where you got the little bloke that goes up the towers. That was called Tower Toppler in the States. And I know from being on the C64 mini page, even though people are wiser to it now, at the time, if you'd have said Nebulous, your average American gaming audience for the C64 wouldn't have known what you were talking about because they knew it as Tower Toppler. So there's also that bit where I don't know why they changed the titles.
I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, well, I suppose epics. You had epics, and you had your Beachhead 2s, and there wasn't a Beachhead 3, no Beachhead 2. Well, that was kind of 86. But I think you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, can anybody else think of any American-produced games apart from epics that came out? I can't. And I tend to think Drop Zone has been an American game, but that was Arthur McLean, and that was 85, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Accolade's an American company, isn't it? I was just trying to think when the Accolade games came out. I can find out quite simply because I just did my last video suffered because I didn't put it out on Sunday. I hope you realise that.
Was there something special on Sunday? Were you tied up in at all? Yeah.
I put it out on Saturday instead, didn't I? Because I'm not the sort of arse that put things out while you're live, Alan.
Right, I'm having a look as well. What was it? The name of that? What was that software company?
Epics.
Oh, I suppose Activision. Activision were American, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Turbo Outrun was 1989. That was a US gold game, so that probably come from Mindscape. What was I looking for?
Afterburner, Altered Beast, Dynamite Ducks.
Circuit by Accolade, that was 89.
Yeah, Hammerfish, that was 1990. Time Machine, that was 1990. But again, the music for like Time Machine was done by Martin Walker. Hammerfish was a guy called Wally Babin. Never heard of him.
There you have. He done the really long Tetris music.
Ah, did he? Ah, right. James Smart. He did Wonder Boy and Monsterland. So I suppose there were still some American games. There were still American games, but as far as actual kind of prolific SID musicians, I can't really see. There's probably, if anybody knows any, then please let us know.
So I was just trying to find out who did the music to Grand Prix Circuit because that is a good piece of music.
Grand Prix Circuit was Chris Hat. What's that? Hatland. Chris with a K, HATLELID. I think that is.
All right.
So there you go. He did that. Yeah, he did the music for that. That came out in 1988.
Yeah, I think we got it in 89 over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Grand Prix Circuit. But I know for a fact I'm not going to do it because that's going to start blasting if I play it. But I'm not sure, which country he's from. But looking at the games that he's done the sound from, they do look like they're all American games, like Test Drive 2, Wings of Fury. I don't know, but I know Grand Prix Circuit's got some really good guitar samples in the music. Yeah, it's a pretty good piece of music actually.
And you were saying that these Whizball, the kind of guitar riff, that wasn't samples either, eh?
Not as far as I know. It doesn't show up as samples. I find with that bit of software I was using on the 64 to play music on Sunday, a lot of the stuff with samples crashes it. Sometimes you just get a grey border and you can press the Commodore or the restore key to get out of it and carry on. Or in the case of Outrun Europa, when I was trying to find the tracks that I was going to play, I played that and that just turned the screen into gibberish. It played the song, but then I had to reset the machine afterwards. So, and Whizball doesn't play like it's got any samples in it. As far as I know, it ain't.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody good. I'll give him that.
Aye, absolutely. I know. Superb. Well, listen, Chris, I suppose we better wind this up because I think I did about 20 odd minutes, so this is going to be way over an hour. So listen,
2 hours from last time.
I'll let you get going. I saw a couple of comments wanting to know what the content of the live stream on Sunday is going to be. I've not actually even thought about it, but I will be back for a rather diminished live stream. It's only going to be 2 hours this time, eh?
Did you see that in the Discord?
What's that?
Did you see that in the Discord? Oh, we're not going to get 12 hours this Sunday. You don't want a lot, do you?
Give them an inch, mate. I don't know. But listen, I just really want to, I mean, to sum it up, I think you and I both enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to be part of it. And like I said, I can't thank you enough for the effort and hard work that you put into it, both off screen and on screen, and just keep me kind of going as well. And, thanks to every single person that took part. Thanks to everybody that commented. I will need to, have you actually kind of looked at many of the comments? I'll need to, it's a pity you can't. Is there any way? No, I don't think there is. There's not any way of when you watch a video back, it only shows you like maybe the last 5 minutes comments. So what you can't do is go to the very end of the stream and then do copy paste, because I mean I wasn't really looking at the comments, and I'm sure there was quite a lot of stuff that we missed.
Well, there's definitely. I noticed when I was watching it back during the Great Parallax kerfuffle. There was definitely some comments that I normally would have shown, just like the odd word like shit or whatever from one of the regulars that I noticed afterwards. But of course, after the event, even though I can click on show and hide, you made me a moderator, it don't make a shred of difference because it's gone past. But I did miss a few while that was going on, but I was intent on getting the streamer run again.
And you done a cracking job. So anyway, listen, thank you very much, Chris. And thanks to everybody that actually watches it. I think most of the regulars probably did kind of tune in for pretty much the duration, which is just fantastic. So anyway, guys, until next time, thank you very, very much for watching.
See ya. Right.
Al's 5.
And that sounds completely shit. I don't know what's going on there.
It'll be all right once I stop moving the mouth about.
One job. Bloody hell. Sounds like Chris's cat's been bloody strangled or something.
You've only got another 5 hours to go. You're all right.
It's been a long day.